Mueller, oh, well, golly, wow, I didn't realize it. There's some intelligence here. Ooh.
Yeah,
Hat tip to one of the best accounts on Twitter, our buddy TechnoFog, at @techno_fog. If you're not following TechnoFog and at Undercover Huber, I think it's at John W. Huber is actually the handle. You're missing out on all the good stuff in a lot of these cases. So, folks, you remember that case, Bob Mueller and his dreadful team of horrible prosecutors, Jeannie Rhee, Andrew Weissman, and others? Remember that case they brought against the Russian troll farms? The Russian troll farm, they're screwing with the election. They were sending out propaganda on social media, like pretty much every U.S. adversary does to try to not only screw up the country, but screw up our elections. But remember, Mueller was tasked with investigating Trump's collusion with Russia, not a bunch of like Russians sitting in a factory, you know, with an outhouse in there and a cup of week-old coffee, sending out stupid memes on Facebook. I thought we were investigating collusion, not like that the Russians don't like us. So, as I told you from the start, Mueller knew from at the latest, he's appointed in May of 2017 to investigate fake collusion with the Russians. He knows right away it's fake, but even giving Mueller the benefit of the doubt, at the absolute latest by July of 2017, you regular listeners know this, Bob Mueller knows the collusion thing is a total fantasy farce, debunked lying hoax. Why? Because he gets the texts in July of 17 from the FBI investigators. They're turned over to him by the Inspector General's office, and he's reading the texts about this hoax. There's no there, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
He knows it. Also in July of 2017, the FBI interviews the translator present at the Trump Tower meeting with Donald Trump Jr. and Manafort. And the translator there with the Russians tells him, no, Don Trump Jr. is telling the real story. We never mentioned Hillary or election interference. And the translator says, and by the way, I don't even like Don Jr. Mueller knows. So as I said to you, and we nailed it, as I discuss in my book, Exonerated, at length, as I've told you, the only purpose of the Mueller probe was never to investigate collusion because they knew there was no collusion. It was to keep the heat on Donald Trump and make a bunch of arrests to make it seem like there was some there, even though there was no there. It's kind of like investigating a bank robbery that never happened. No bank was robbed. Accusing people of robbing a bank that was never robbed and no bank was robbed. But then arresting them for jaywalking and saying, hey, listen, he crossed the street when it was a green light, Joe, and the bank was close by. But there was no bank robbed. But he jaywalked near the bank. You get it? You get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
That's all Mueller was doing. That's why they arrested Manafort. That's why they arrested Papadopoulos. They had nothing. Arrested Flynn. They had nothing on any of these people. But one of the things Mueller could never do was to find an actual Russian that had colluded with Trump. So they just made one up. They were like, hey, let's go prosecute this Russian troll farm. Were they colluding with Trump? No. No doubt they were trolls, ladies and gentlemen. No doubt they were up to no good. Some sense of they were posting weird stuff. Was it criminal?
Yeah.
That's kind of a stretch. How do I know that? Because the hapless, pathetic Mueller team last night totally dropped the case without prejudice. Wow, that's crazy how they don't want to prosecute right during the corona outbreak. That's just nuts how that happens. Again, hat tip, the great TechnoFog on Twitter. Here are some screenshots from the judicial documents. You can see them in full on his Twitter account. So this is how they originally prosecuted Concord Management, this management consulting LLC, Joe, that allegedly was engaged in information warfare against the United States. Here's the actual indictment. The indictment, this is the motion to dismiss, I'm sorry. They say the indictment alleges that the defendants, Concord, engaged in what they dubbed, Joe, information warfare against the United States. Oh my gosh. A systemic effort to sow political discord and influence the outcome of the 2016 election. And it charged the defendants with conspiring to defraud the federal agencies responsible for preventing and counteracting improper foreign influence in the U.S. election. Oh my gosh, that indictment sounds bad.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's no doubt, again, Concord was up to something, of course. But this seems like the most loosey-goosey. Let me just invent a bunch of circuitous language that goes nowhere to make it seem like they were colluding with the Trump team to impact the election. Folks, this case, forgive my language, sucked so bad that even the hapless Mueller probe that had all the assets they had, the FBI, millions of dollars to prosecute. Remember, I have no doubt they went after Concord to say, look, we got a Russian. Here's a Russian. There's a Russian. They needed a Russian, and they got them their Russians. This case sucked so bad, they had to drop it yesterday, convenient timing, without prejudice. Let's go to screenshot 2 from the legal documents. The government, quote, the government therefore has decided that the calculation of whether a substantial federal interest is served by this prosecution has changed since the indictment was returned. Oh, really? And the better course is to cease litigation as to the Concord defendants. Oh, my gosh. What have I been telling you? Joe, you know, me and you don't do a lot of self-celebration because I know it's bad, it looks bad, and it serves no interest for me to do that. But if you've been listening to this show, I warned you probably over a year ago that the attempted prosecution by the hapless, incompetent Mueller team of Concord was going to result in a big faceplant and was only done because they needed a scalp that had something to do with Russia.
Elbow hit, bro.
Oh, you think? Okay, it's better. I got one more for you.
All right.
Showing you again how incompetent Mueller's team was. And by the excuse the Mueller team's using, by the way, is, well, if we go forward, we'd have to release national security information. In other words, implying we got a lot of stuff on Concord. You didn't know that before? So just to be clear, you had national security information on Concord you don't want out in an open trial because Concord has the right to defend themselves. They'd have access to it. You just figured that out yesterday? Now you see why we run counterintelligence investigations in the United States different than criminal ones? Because sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, the United States has an intelligence interest in not taking a case to open court. Mueller, well, golly, wow, I didn't realize it. There's some intelligence here. Ooh. Joe, please do your Barney for golly.
Golly.
Yeah.
I was just kidding. I didn't know you actually had. I was just messing with you. I didn't even know you. I'm not kidding.
Golly.
I didn't even know you had that. I was just messing with you. I'm not messing with you. I was not messing with you. Oh. Mueller just figured out that this was a potential counterintelligence investigation. One more court document. Again, proving to you how hapless and incompetent this team of just complete legal buffoons were. The lawyer for Concord confronts Jeannie Rhee, Clintonista, who was a lawyer on the Mueller team, searching for crimes they knew didn't exist with the Trump team. And Jeannie Rhee says, hey, man, we got a terabyte of information from Concord, implying like, dude, we got a lot of stuff. I used to do this a lot in criminal cases. I'd interview bad guys, and I put a videotape with their name on it in front of them, but I would never mention a videotape, ever. I would just leave it on the desk. Why? So, Joe, I'm interviewing you for counterfeit, right? Passing counterfeit. I put a video, VHS tape at the time. I put Joe Armacost on it. I had a date. I leave it on the desk. There's nothing on the tape.
What the hell she got on me?
Yeah, exactly. And then if you ask about an interview, I'm like, yeah, we'll talk about that later. And you move it aside. It worked every time. It was my favorite trick. This is what Jeannie Rhee was trying to do. We got a terabyte of information on you guys. Oh my gosh, what do they got? Look at this. The lawyer for Concord asks a simple question. You got that terabyte of information? He says, what language is it in? Jeannie Rhee says, well, primarily Russian. He says, this is not funny, but have you translated it? She goes, oh no. The lawyer says, well, how do you know what's in it? And she didn't want to talk anymore.
Oh, man.
Gotta start wearing bigger shirts. My sleeves, I need them to clear the tears from my... Folks, this is not even... It's not. It's just so pathetic. This case was pathetic. If there's a CI investigation against Concord for malicious intrusions into our electoral process, go for it. I am a patriot. The Russians are not our friends. Do your thing. But my gosh, the incompetence here was stunning. We got a terabyte of information on you. What language? Russian. Have you translated? Nah. So how do you know what's in it? Huh?
You just heard The Dan Bongino Show. You can also get Dan's podcasts on iTunes or SoundCloud. And follow Dan on Twitter 24/7 @DBongino.